Well, what students used to say most of the time, why am I doing this? Why am I doing like? So I would tell them, I don't do the Pythagorean theorem anymore. But now with CTE, you're doing math. You see how it, blueprints. You see how it equates to real world activities, and now you're gonna keep that knowledge because it makes sense to you.
You are listening to the Global CTE Podcast with your host, Sylvester Chisom.
Welcome, my friend, to another episode of the Global CTE Podcast. I am your host, Sylvester Chisom. This is the place where I interview the best, the brightest, the movers, and the shakers. Today is no different. I have my friend all the way from New Jersey, Troy Long. Now, let me tell you about Troy. Troy is the director of CTE and Grants Administration for Mercer County Technical Schools in New Jersey. Troy is a 20-year CTE veteran and the author of the new book, The CTE Experience. Troy has led as a teacher, vice principal, and program developer, working with the New Jersey Department of Education and industry partners to build innovative CTE pathways. He recently secured a state grant to expand AI-focused CTE programs, and he is passionate about helping students find non-traditional paths to success. Welcome to the show, Troy Long.
Thank you, sir. Appreciate the intro.
Oh no, man! Look, I'm excited. We connected over LinkedIn. I saw the book, and I was like, "Oh yeah, no, I have to have you on the podcast." After looking through the CTE Experience, yeah, and you were at a conference connecting with some of our other past guests that we've had on the pod.
Yeah,
so
that was funny. Yeah. Small world. It's a small CTE world.
Yeah, no, you know it is absolutely. But before we dive into all the AI stuff and your leadership in Jersey with CTE, man, how did you get here? What's the origin story?
So CTE found me. Education found me, actually. I went to high school. I was a CTE student. I was a CTE teacher, CTE administrator, but originally I used to work for a newspaper. I used to work for the Star and Edge newspaper. You might have seen it in The Sopranos or something like that. And then I wanted to coach basketball. So by me wanting to coach basketball, what did I do to coach basketball? You had to be a teacher. So I took my test to be a business teacher. So I was a business teacher teaching, Microsoft Office specialist and all that stuff. So that's how I got my foot in the door. And then I saw the impact I was making with kids and changing lives. Because I used to work in North New Jersey, and I just kept on going. I had a lot of good people around me that was pushing me. And, the more I was finding out about education and CTE, the more I loved it. And just kept on grinding. And now I'm here.
Man, I love it. So now today you're working in Mercer County Technical School as a director of CTE. Tell me a little bit about your school and some of the programs that are available.
So in New Jersey, we got county vocational schools. I'm in the county of Mercer, which is by the state capital of Trenton. I'm from Trenton, so it was like a homecoming for me to come back here. But when I got down there, I didn't realize how many programs they had. So on each campus, we got different programs. So like where I'm sitting at talking to you from now, we have HVAC, we have welding, we have carpentry, we have electrical, we have the Health Science Academy. My other programs, I have STEM Academy. We're doing our junior ROTC. We starting a new AI program. I got auto collision, auto body. Not auto body, but automotive. I got horticulture, graphic design, and culinary. So the list go on. I probably is a couple more I can't think of on top of my head right now. So don't blame it on my head no more.
That's it sounds very, very comprehensive in that way that you're giving students those hands-on experiences. I'm just curious, what's some of the feedback you hear from students that come through those programs and that find success in there?
So it's funny. It's life-changing because we also, they get college credits. We have articulation with our local community college. So any kid that comes in, as long as you're doing what you got to do and pass your classes, you're going to get college credits. But I got a few teachers that actually graduated the program, which that's amazing in itself. Like my auto collision, he was a former student.
Wow. He
went through the pathway and now he's back giving back. So it meant that much to him that he's back home, so to speak. So you get a lot of stories like that, or, we have a lot of kids come back and speak to the kids that's out there doing it in the industry. So get a leg up. You get a big leg up going to a school like this.
What are some of the industry partnerships that you have, like, across the different pathways? Anything special you want to highlight or talk about?
Well, work-based learning is a big part of the Purpose 5 mission. So we pushing that. So especially for our shared time students, we want them out at least 4 days a week if possible. So I got a coordinator at each campus, and that's their number one priority is to go secure, paid internships for them if possible. And then I also I got a backup that I'm doing. I'm doing a virtual work-based learning through a couple of different platforms that I have, simulated work experience, school-based enterprise. We got to do it all. We got to be creative because there's a lot of barriers to this work-based learning, especially when you're not 18. So, some places don't want to, like, for instance, my health science, that's a big issue. In the healthcare, I can't have a person that's not 18 doing certain things. So that virtual job shadowing for them is actually very beneficial.
No, I like it. I want to shift a little bit to your book, the CTE Experience.
Okay.
I mean, I talk to folks all the time, and part of the reason why I created this platform was just to share knowledge. And so many of us are working in silos, doing incredible things, but it's like, how do we get that knowledge out so other folks can know about it? I'm curious, what made you write the CTE Experience?
Well, like I said, 20 years in this, and I've been through a lot of struggles. I'm now in the county school, but before that, I spent most of my career in a comprehensive school. Comprehensive school, we always had barriers to success, whether it be change in administration, change in policy. One, we used to have a big CTE department of 10 people, then it was down to one person. So the priorities shifted. But one thing you will find is all the top schools in the country, they have thriving CTE programs. So I just wanted to share all the frustrations and the good things, the bad thing, anything that was happening that was stopping people from reaching their CTE goals. Because, from traveling throughout and going to ACTE and other conferences, I met a lot of people that was new to CTE and there's no real training and guidelines for these people. They're just sending them out to the wolves, so to speak, and letting them try to figure out on their own. And that's not a good thing because, it's going to take them a while and that may hurt their students for a year. They may miss out on some opportunities, but now is a resource for you.
Yeah.
Go ahead and check that out. It got different chapters. We focus on different things and it talks about everything that I felt like should be relevant for, newer and seasoned people that when they're getting into a different situation, because sometimes you may not have dealt with that and I may have. So I just wanted to share that information.
I think that's super valuable how you just framed that, because it's still good to hear it from a different point of view, someone else's perspective. So that might affirm something you're already doing or the way you're leading your CTE programs, or it may give you another approach, a different way to think about it or consider. I'm curious. Well, one, I like how you did this as I was reading through the chapters. Create the energy, create the enthusiasm, create the engagement, create the education, create the entrepreneurship, create the excellence, create the future. It's like you did CTE for each of the letters of the chapters. Do you have a favorite chapter in the book? Do you have a favorite chapter in the book?
Well, I'm biased. It's all my baby. It was a scary process, man, putting yourself out there. So I actually sat on this for 2 years. I started writing it 21, and I sat on it, and because I was nervous. It's someone read it, you don't know how they're gonna receive it. But if 1,000 people say they don't like it, but if I touched 2 or 3 people that could touch kids, I did my job. That's just the same thing with teaching. So I got past that, and I just wanted to put it out there. And then as I started writing it, to finish it, then that's when I started incorporating the newer things that I was dealing with, like the AI and everything. So that's why the AI chapters is in the back. Because when I first started writing it, AI wasn't as prevalent. So now it is. So and we need to address that.
I do want to. It was one I'll say that stood out to me with chapter 2. Create the enthusiasm, and you writing here. Explore how CTE ignites excitement in students by connecting core subjects like reading, writing, math, and science to real-world applications. Can you talk a little about that?
Well, what students used to say most of the time, why am I doing this? Why am I doing so I would tell them, I don't do the Pythagorean theorem anymore. But now with CTE, you're doing math. You see how it, blueprints. You see how it equates to real world activities. And now you're gonna keep that knowledge because it makes sense to you. Whereas when you're doing just basic math and basic English, you got to make it make sense to those students. You got to give them practical applications that they're going to say, okay, I could use this later on in life. And that's what we're missing. So that's why I call it the hook. It catches them, it hooks them in, and it gets them to want to engage in the stuff that they used to think was boring. And, if you take it a step further, you put your CTE in the beginning of the day, that's going to increase your attendance because I'm going to come to my favorite class. I'm not going, if you put math and English and I don't like math and English, I'm going to stroll in late. So just think about it like that.
That's interesting. I've never heard anyone say that on the pod before in terms of the placement of the time for the CTE classes, putting them first or putting them up front in the beginning of the day, helping to impact attendance. Is that something you've seen that or you've heard that?
I've seen that, and it's research to back that. I don't have it in front of me,
right.
But it is research to back that. But again, you're going to come to your favorite class. With kids, when they try to not go to class is when, I don't like this class. And those are the classes that don't make sense to them, that they don't understand the relevance. They're not making that connection. CTE makes connections because we start off with exploratory. So we find out what you like. Mm-hmm. So you're going to tend to come to what you like.
Yeah. I like that. Everyone listening to the CTE classes in the beginning of the day.
I might be a fight with your scheduling person.
No, I know it's gonna be a fight. I know everyone listens like, yeah, absolutely. I've been saying that. but you know what? Let's talk about this for a minute. As it connects to the book and your experiences, you see CTE as the hook to urban education needs. Like, can you talk about that as CTE maybe relates to upward economic mobility for people in urban communities?
So you think about it like this. In most urban areas, once the student go to school, if they go to college, they leave and never come back. But with CTE, you're finding out those niches that the community needs. So you're preparing them to take over jobs that betters the community. So number one, you're going to better the community. Now they typically going to stay there and they're going to bring that money back to the community. And now the students themselves are provided with a livable wage. So it's just a lot of things that could change your community by putting them in a situation to succeed and take care of your community. Instead of like what we kind of doing is outsourcing them, if you think about it like that. If you're sending them away for college, what happened to me? I went away from college. I liked the area where I was at. I kind of stayed there. I would come back home and visit. I stayed where I was at. But if you're helping them take care of their area and providing them with a livable wage, because that's what we don't talk about enough, a living wage. And when we do that, financial literacy with kids and you make them understand how much money it costs to go live out on their own, you see their faces like, what? I need all of this. But now you could get this with CTE, and it's not about college, but we give you college credits. We give you all this stuff. We get you situated for success in your community.
Yeah. No, that's powerful. I think it's really interesting what you're saying, man, because there's so many possibilities as it relates to that upward economic mobility that's connected to CTE that are connected to things that our students are interested in. And you see it playing out like in the economy, but it's so funny how we still had a narrative of like some CTE is a lesser thing. When I'm gonna take it to where you and I were talking about in our pre-conversation before we press record, is this Wall Street Journal. In the Wall Street Journal, this article, and I encourage everyone to read it, look it up. America's new millionaire class, plumbers and HVAC entrepreneurs. And not only that, the subtitle, private equity, so that's big money, is pouring into skilled trade small businesses. So, I mean, and this one particular part is like, Private equity is looking at HVAC companies, home services, heating and ventilation, air conditioning, plumbing, electrical, because these companies are thriving in local communities.
So like I was saying, we was talking CTE, the new millionaire class. And then also we talking about the conversation we had. Also, like Nick Cannon just posted something that was talking about the great need for electricians. So, there's a need, and it's going to be a lot of money for these students out there. So don't sell them short and tell them that is only one way to go. It's not just one way to go. There's options. Provide them with the options and let them make that decision based on what they're interested in. We said, they always were saying college readiness. It's college and career readiness. Make sure you're promoting both.
Yeah, absolutely, man. Absolutely. And then I love how you also talked about it earlier, is that if it's done right, we start with students' interest, exploratory, so that when they find themselves in the work, it can create that success. And I don't even know if I didn't tell you this, but like I know I personally don't get here. CTE is deeply connected to me personally. Like my mother is a cosmetologist. Like she knew what she wanted to do since like the 8th grade. So she was that little girl, like, not 8th grade, since she was like 12 years old, braiding hair, sitting on her front porch, making her own money. And she told me this story. She probably killed me but she told me this story. She said she found out in the 8th grade that that's all she needed to go to cosmetology school was an 8th grade education, and she could go straight to cosmetology school. So I'm like, she was trying to go pro out of middle school. And my grandmother's like, no, baby, you're going to high school first. But as soon as she finished, she went to cosmetology school, owns her own hair salon for 40 plus years, and put myself and my younger sister through college as a single parent through a CTE career pathway. Now,
take your story and take it a step further to where we are today. Now she could have did that in high school by going through a CTE school that has it, because I have a share time program that they can do in 11th, 12th grade and get their 1,000 hours to go take the test, which actually we just had 40 out of 42 students just passed the state boards last week. So I'm excited about that. We're going to get them other two up to par and had them retest before the school year is out. But the point is, now they can do it. And we have adult programs as well where, you got some places that's charging like 20, 30, 20, 25,000. My adult program that I have for it charge 8. Wow. So I'm coming in way lower. And you still got to do less hours with me because we still school. So you do 1,000 instead of, the additional hours. Yeah. So it's a beautiful thing. So that's like a little plug from a school.
No, but I think that's powerful how you're saying that, because that's school education should reflect the needs of the community. And so it's like, yes, touching them at the high school level, but having that adult learning opportunity to help other folks to come in. That's a powerful thing. That really is powerful. I want to shift and talk to you about this. What was it called? Big time. The New Jersey Department of Education Artificial Intelligence Innovation and Education Grant. Congratulations, Mr. Troy Long. Talk to me about winning this grant. What is it?
Well, Governor Murphy from New Jersey is really big into AI. We've been having like AI symposiums and stuff like that. So he put his money where his mouth is. He put 2 competitive grants up there, and my assistant superintendent, Dr. Powell, was like, yo, we want to do this. A lot of people said, man, we ain't going to get this. We got to compete against everybody. He said, nah, we going to go hard. So me and him put our heads together, and we did the work. We came out with a nice little outline and a platform, and we submitted it, and we was one of the 2 county schools that got it. So I'm really excited. And now we're administering it. Like, I'm doing a lot of stuff with the grant already, partnering with the College of New Jersey. I got other big time partners, the grant, like I said, for $375. We doing everything we got to do. And actually, one of the stipulations is that the stuff we do in the grant is going to be able to trickle down to the other school districts in New Jersey. So they was like, make sure the access is for everybody. So some stuff we doing as a supplement, like I use like Project Lead the Way in that, which gets kind of pricey, but it's a supplement. It's not the core of the program. So we're writing this where it's going to get articulated credits with college, because like I said, our partners at the College of New Jersey is helping us write the curriculum for this. Okay. So you do the classes in the pathway, you're going to get automatic college credits, which that's great. But I got those thought partners or industry leaders that's really involved in AI, because it is the wave of the future. And a lot of people thinking it's going to take your job, but those who don't know how to use AI is going to be the ones who suffer. If you know how to use AI, you'll be okay. Yeah. So we teach them how to use AI so they'll be okay.
Can you talk to some of the ideas you all are around connecting AI curriculum for CTE students? Like what are some of the things?
We have a STEM academy. Okay. So we're addressing that, where AI is going to be intertwined into everything we do over there. And then I would like to just mention one of the cool things. We're going to use Boston Dynamics. They have something called Spot the Robot Dog. Okay. If you look that up, I don't even tell you how much it costs, but it costs a pretty penny. But that dog is amazing. You can program it, and the dog do all the commands that you ask it for. So, anybody out there you listening, you look that up, you'll see what I'm talking about. See it, yeah. You might have seen that on TV.
I have seen it on television. Yeah. Okay.
So we're purchasing that as well for the program, so the kids can program. You use their AI skill now, program the dog, and the dog will do what you told it to do. So that's amazing right there.
Well, I'm curious, when you think about some of the challenges, like what were some of the challenges you're facing when you present that to traditional teachers and saying like, hey, we want to kind of infuse some AI into this. What are some of those challenges, and how you
with the teachers we approached? It wasn't a challenge because they was already had that background. Okay. But I would say on our district-wide level, we got a couple of emails that said, I want to shut down ChatGPT. Right. So, people are fearful of it instead of embracing it. There's programs that they could use in addition to that to see if someone wrote a paper with AI. So don't be fearful of it. Teach them how to use it properly and make adjustments, because that's what education is about. You never know what you're going to get when you walk in, because the kids come, whatever problems they had at home, they're bringing that to you. So you always got to be able to pivot at a moment's notice.
Yeah. So I think it's interesting you saying that about I feel like it's an overemphasis and focus on, did you write this paper with AI or something like that, versus showing students how to ask the right questions.
There you go.
How to use it to enhance their creativity, because what you just said, this generation of students that are in school, it is going to be expected that you have foundational knowledge on how to use these AI tools in the workplace, because companies are going to want to use that to get more leverage out of their staff, out of their workers.
Increases productivity. It's faster. 100%. Instead of me thinking about writing something and take an hour, I can get it done in 5 minutes now. Yep. Why would you not want to increase productivity? That's your bottom line.
Yep. When you think about success from this grant, like what are some of the ways you think about success with this AI program for students?
Well, my first big hurdle is September, because we rolling it out in September. I want to be there for the ribbon cutting in the first day of class and everything, and make sure, we have the curriculum complete at that point in time as well. So, when you're working with others, because I'm working with the College of New Jersey, like I said, I got to make sure they do their part so we can do our part. So just making sure we're able to hit the ground running in a positive manner, that would be beautiful, because there's a lot of eyes on this in the state,
Yeah, that's good. I appreciate your open-mindedness around it, the superintendent the same way, as well as the state of New Jersey. But I'm curious, for anyone who's listening who may be a little fearful, what would you say to those educators or school leaders or state leaders on how maybe they should be rethinking using AI in education?
Number one, don't be scared, because there's no reason to be scared. It's just like anything we do in education, it's just a natural progression. And we can't stand still in this and let the kids get ahead of us. We need to be moving with the kids, because if the kids get ahead of us, then there's going to be a problem. But only way they do that is we allow that to happen. By us, implementing these programs, we grow together. And then that way we can control the narrative by growing together. So you cannot stop it. Even if you say no phones in the school, they go home, they're going to have that. So if you give them a homework to write a paper and they go home and use ChatGPT, you should have been teaching them how to use it properly together, work on stuff together. That's the only way we're going to, move forward, is together, a team.
I like how you frame that. That is true, working together. And you don't want the students to be ahead of, like 2-4 hours in front, and then it's just like, it's over from there. All right, Troy, man, my last question. I asked this question to everyone on the pod, man. What is your vision for the future of CTE?
So, like I said, I'm Mr. CTE. I love CTE. My vision is we're going to keep growing. Like right now, this is our time. We just got to increase our messaging so people understand how valuable it is. We referenced the article about the new millionaire class. Promote CTE every chance you get. So I'm even, I'm trying to lead by example by doing more promotion on my social media platforms, just to let people know what's out there. I do, even on my LinkedIn, I'm doing now little articles. I'm trying to do everything to make people understand as much as humanly possible about CTE. So if everybody that's involved, everybody that's listening, keep promoting what you're doing, because it's important for these kids to know CTE is the future. And that's all I can say. It's going to keep growing. You got to grow with it. Yeah.
No, I appreciate you saying that, because it is, in order for us to shift that narrative and so that it's touching the household the same way as college is touching the household. Like you're right, it's college and career readiness, and CTE programs are a great place for students to get those hands-on real world learning experiences. So promoting that is so powerful, man. I appreciate everything you said today, Troy. For those who want to learn more about the work you're leading, who want to learn more about the CTE Experience book, or bring you in for a keynote or something like that, where should they go? How should they reach out to you?
Well, the best way to reach out to me is on LinkedIn. I'm on LinkedIn. Troy Long, you'll see my picture, everything. Page is open for anybody. You'll see my book there and some of the stuff I've been doing. But I'm more than welcome to talk to anybody. I'm very passionate about the CT. So, if you need anything, any resources, any help, anything, reach out to me and I'll see what I can do.
Absolutely. I love it. If you enjoyed this episode, don't be selfish. Share with a friend who needs to hear this great message that was just shared today. A lot of gems were dropped by Troy Long and the work he's doing in New Jersey. Until the next episode, remember, you don't have to be great to get started, but you have to get started to be great. Peace.
Thank you for listening to the Global CTE Podcast. Be sure to like and subscribe to be the first to know about future episodes.